It happens on an ordinary evening. The dishes are still on the table, homework half done. When the argument breaks out, the child, voice sharp with frustration, says, "You do not understand anything." The room goes quiet. The parent stands still, the words echoing long after the door closes. What hurts is not the defiance, but the sudden distance, the feeling that love and sacrifice have gone unseen. A small voice rises inside, uncertain and afraid. Have I failed as a parent? Epictetus, the Stoic who taught that serenity does not come from being loved, but from understanding the nature of love and freedom, would have recognized this moment. He would ask, "What is within your control here?" The child's reaction, "No." Your own heart, "Yes." When a child turns away, many parents feel invisible, as if their purpose dissolves with that silence. But the sense of being forgotten is not born from a child's indifference. It comes from the fear of losing meaning. Peace is not coldness before that emptiness. It is the courage to face it without letting fear take over. Epictetus reminds us to accept reality as it is, not as we wish it to be. For pain grows when we resist what cannot be controlled. Do not strive for the world to love you, he said. Learn instead to love the world as it is. That is where inner freedom begins. The distance between parents and children doesn't appear out of nowhere. It grows in a world where generations live by different rules. Technology advances faster than understanding. Values shift, and children raised in a new reality often judge their parents' old ways of living. What was once care now feels like control. The natural reaction of parents is to feel hurt, angry, or defensive. Beneath these reactions lies a quiet psychological need, the longing to be recognized, the fear of losing one's place in a child's heart. What looks like defiance from a child often awakens a parent's deepest fear, becoming unnecessary. At the heart of it all is love. Love that, when unreciprocated, slowly turns into sorrow and guilt. Yet love is not always understood at the moment it is given. Epictetus called this the realm of things beyond our control. He believed suffering begins when we tie our worth to a single role, when we forget that being a parent is only one part of a larger life. We let our value depend entirely on how our children see us. Epictetus urged each person to play their role on God's stage with integrity and virtue. Some days we are loved, some days forgotten. Peace returns when we stop trying to control the audience, as Epictetus taught. Peace begins when we see clearly without judgment, and this clarity is most needed in the space between parent and child. Growing up is not rebellion for its own sake. It is the search for identity and emotional freedom. Many children do not intend to wound their parents. They are simply trying to step away far enough to find themselves. When a child speaks with harsh words, what hides beneath is rarely hatred. It is the deep need to be heard, to be seen as an individual with thoughts of their own. During adolescence, the emotional brain develops faster than reason, making reactions stronger, words sharper, and regret slower to come. Refusing parental affection often becomes a defense, a way to avoid feeling indebted or controlled. For children who have witnessed family tension, distance is not ingratitude but protection. Coldness is often another name for pain. When parents recognize that defiance may be a cry for independence, they can meet it with compassion instead of pride. Distance does not end love. It becomes the space where both sides grow. Sometimes a child only needs one calm, non-judging look to feel safe enough to return. And sometimes a parent needs one deep breath to remember. The child is not fighting them, only searching for themselves. This is the moment for Stoic compassion, to see suffering without condemnation, as Epictetus advised. The way a physician observes pain, with understanding and without fear. After moments of hurt and distance, parents often find themselves asking, "Where did I go wrong?" Yet Epictetus would remind them that the mistake is not always in the action, but in forgetting to guard the peace within. Sometimes a child does not need advice or correction, only to see that their words do not make us fall apart. Our calmness becomes a quiet lesson in inner strength. This is the turning point from reaction to awareness. The practice Epictetus called prosoche, the act of watching over one's own mind. Before trying to change the child, we must learn to stand steady before our own emotions. That is the beginning of freedom and the foundation of mature love. In practice, when emotion rises, place a hand over your chest, take a deep breath, and ask, "Is this feeling within my control?" If not, observe it. If it is, choose the response guided by virtue. At the end of each day, note one moment when you kept your peace in the face of judgment. This discipline of self-observation, Epictetus believed, is the core of a lived philosophy, the daily art of staying whole in a world that tests the heart. Building on the practice of self-observation, Epictetus taught the dichotomy of control, the art of knowing what is within our power and what is not. The emotions and choices of others, even of our children, lie beyond our control. What we can govern are our virtues, actions, and responses. No one can wound us unless we permit it. This freedom of mind becomes the root of compassion when love feels distant. When parents stop trying to earn their child's affection, they begin to love more truthfully. Epictetus believed all souls are connected by the reason of the universe. Love does not vanish. It shifts from possession to harmony. When a parent acts with kindness and a child seeks freedom, both move toward oikeiosis, the Stoic harmony of living according to nature. Those who misunderstand us are not enemies, but travelers under a different light. Seeing this, we learn a broader love, one that reaches beyond family ties. This is the highest form of Stoic love, unconditional, fearless, and free. When love grows freer and less possessive, the next test comes in the small moments of conflict, when a child's words sting or their silence feels cold. Breathe and do not react at once. Watch the feeling rise and fall like a passing cloud, without confusing it for who you are. Then ask yourself, is this within my control? If the answer is no, choose virtuous silence. If yes, respond with kindness, not pride. Instead of saying, "You are ungrateful," try asking, "What are you angry about?" This is not weakness, but strength. The mastery of self. Epictetus would remind us that a heated reply only feeds the fire of an unsteady mind. Calmness is not indifference. It is the space that lets reason and compassion appear. Sometimes the most powerful act is to say nothing, in that quiet. The child begins to hear themselves when a parent listens instead of lecturing. Distance begins to melt, like ice under sunlight, when both remain silent without hostility. There are no roles left, no teacher, no sinner, only two people learning how to love again. To practice, take 3 slow breaths before reacting. Ask, does this serve virtue or pride? Then choose the act that reflects kindness. This is the art of responding instead of reacting. the essence of Epictetus's teaching. As parents learn to respond with calm rather than reaction, something subtle begins to shift inside the home. When even one person in a family finds composure, the entire emotional atmosphere changes. The steadiness of a parent becomes like a central axis, absorbing tension instead of passing it on, returning quiet where there was noise. Children, even in rebellion, can sense that safety. A silent father who does not judge, a mother who breathes before speaking. Both teach more through presence than through words. In family psychology, the one who regulates emotion becomes the emotional stabilizer, helping others to self-regulate in return. Epictetus called this sympatheia, the harmony of all souls within the order of the universe. When parents stay calm, they restore that order in their own home. The family ceases to be a chain of reaction and becomes a place of reason and compassion. Slowly, children learn calm not from instruction, but from witnessing real peace, from that image of harmony within the home. Epictetus takes us one step deeper. He taught that suffering begins when we demand the world to move according to our will. Parents often carry this invisible demand toward their children, believing they should be grateful, understanding, or mature enough to see their sacrifices. When reality does not meet these expectations, pain follows. Yet the pain is not caused by the child, but by the illusion that love must be mirrored to be real. Letting go of expectation does not mean giving up. It means accepting reality with compassion. To be at peace, Epictetus said, wish for things to happen exactly as they do. When we stop asking for love to be returned, our love becomes purer, lighter, closer to freedom. Each expectation is a thread that ties us to the emotions of another. Releasing it does not end love, it untangles it, allowing both hearts to breathe in the quiet space of understanding. After learning to release expectation, Stoicism leads us toward an even higher form of love. It does not teach hardness, but the art of loving without possession. Epictetus reminded, love someone, but remember they belong not to you, but to nature. Children are companions on a shared journey, not extensions of the self. When a child closes their heart, the Stoic parent opens theirs wider, because virtue is the only thing that cannot be taken away. Calmness, in this sense, is not indifference. It is love freed from fear. A Stoic parent continues to love without demanding return, knowing that love large enough will find its own way back. Temporary distance is not rejection, but the silence in which love matures on both sides. Epictetus wrote, when you love someone, let them be free. If they return, it is harmony with nature. If they do not, it is still the order of the universe. This is the highest form of compassion, to love without owning and to stay at peace even when the door remains closed, continuing the spirit of loving without possession. The daily Stoic practice becomes a quiet discipline of awareness. Each morning, remind yourself, I cannot control another's heart, only my own behavior. When feeling hurt or insulted, pause, breathe, and ask, am I reacting or acting with reason? At night, record one kind response you managed to keep during the day. When missing your child, send goodwill silently, without blame or need for return. When loneliness appears, remember that compassion is a virtue in itself, not something that depends on recognition. Once a week, ask, what am I controlling? What must I release? This simple reflection, taught by Epictetus, cleanses the mind of confusion, and aligns reason with kindness. In this rhythm of restraint and reflection, peace becomes a daily habit rather than a distant goal. In this daily rhythm of reflection, Stoicism reveals its true nature. It is not a cold theory, but a therapy for the wounded heart. Epictetus himself was once a slave. He knew what it meant to be dismissed, to be unseen, yet he chose inner freedom over bitterness, peace over resentment. Modern parents face a similar choice. They cannot command their children's affection, but they can guard their own kindness. Calmness is not the absence of feeling. It is the strength to remain upright in the middle of feeling. When parents stop arguing to start understanding, philosophy turns into living compassion. There may be no embrace today, but there can be a softer look, a moment of quiet where both begin to heal. The final lesson is simple. Philosophy does not live in books, but in each small reaction. Every time we choose kindness in pain, philosophy breathes through life itself, from that softening of the heart. The final truth of Stoic love becomes clear. No one can truly love a child while fearing their rejection. Epictetus's calm wisdom teaches that love is an action, not a bargain. The child may not understand today, but genuine care leaves a mark deeper than words. If someone treats us harshly, remember, they act so because they do not yet know better. Parents can still smile, knowing their kindness remains intact. When we stop needing our children to understand us, we finally begin to understand them. That is freedom, and the purest form of love. And if one day the child returns, there is no need to ask why, only to smile. Knowing our calmness kept the door of the heart open. This is when philosophy becomes love, and love becomes a way of living.